philosopher, and welcome to TransurfingTV. My name is Renee Garcia, and this is my video on owning your story. This has been a very, very cathartic experience for me to really embrace and own my story, learn to tell it in a different way to both myself and people outside of me that I feel has allowed me to really excel in my reality and connect to a higher version of myself, right? So we sort of fall into this victimhood kind of mentality where we tell our story with a slant on it that tries to elicit certain things from people or even from ourselves, right? A pity party, or having people feel for what we've gone through, having people feel sympathy for us or want to view us in a more favorable way because maybe we are injured or damaged. I know that I did that a lot of years with my family. I wanted kind of special treatment because I had felt they had damaged me so much. And really it just kept this cycle of stuff going that really didn't suit me or my intentions. But the root of that cycle, where that cycle actually started, was the story that I continued to tell myself over time, picking out certain parts of it, leaning on certain emotions and, placing blame on others and all that kind of stuff. And I finally got to a point where I realized that telling my story in a new way was going to help me achieve a number of things, but mainly it was going to help me achieve the ability to move on, and it was going to help me in helping others also reconstruct their story, move on themselves, or maybe even possibly start telling their story to others to help other people. I felt alone for a lot of years because I didn't want the world to know what I had gone through. I didn't want anyone to know that I hadn't really healed or dealt with what I was, what I was subjected to as a child and all that stuff. And really, it keeps you held back. It keeps you from really expanding out of yourself because you're still kind of living in that injured child mode is how I look at it. And in, again, redefining and restructuring your story and learning to tell it in another way, or at the very, very least, owning your story in your own mind. It is amazing what can happen, how much heal can happen when you start to do this. So I have 3 points that I really want to touch on in this video, 3 ways that I feel you could help own your story a little more and see benefits really quickly if you are still struggling with certain aspects of your story and suffering because of that story. So the first thing that I like to point out is the power in accountability. Now, I know this one is sort of a tough pill to swallow for some people, including myself. I mean, I'm not gonna lie here. I was abused as a child in many ways. I was abused sexually, I was physically abused, I was neglected. I had a lot of challenges with the adults in my life ever acknowledging this and still remaining in complete denial. And that sort of thought, all that stuff makes me think in a way where I deflect any accountability for myself and continue placing blame. So this is what I've done. So this is how that hurts me. How that hurts me is continuing to place blame on others means that I am either silently or outspokenly asking for some sort of apology or acceptance or declaration, right? That they know and agree with what went down. Now, they are never going to do that. So me continuing to expect that from them rather than me switching the focus around to myself and taking accountability for my part. Now I know, again, and believe me, I understand this, a lot of people are gonna say, well, I was a kid, how could I have been accountable? It doesn't really matter if you can pinpoint or not places where you were accountable if it is something that happened in your childhood. What the idea is that you are accountable now and you are willing and brave enough to turn away from the people that remain in denial or whatever else it is that you're looking for externally to help you resolve your internal issues. And it's about you taking that accountability for yourself right now. So one little trick that I like to play with my mind anytime I go into a pity party and I say, oh God, why did that have to happen? Why did I have to be born into a family where things were like this and this happened and blah, blah, blah. And I search, my mind to like try to figure out where my accountability lies as a transurfer. And then the bottom line of it is I just get to a point where I'm like, okay, it's a waste of time to do that. It's already done. Whatever it was that you did, it's gone. You can't go back and change anything. But at the same time, even if you can never, ever place where you were accountable, you can attribute whatever happened to you to some sort of karmic event, right? Maybe you deserved something, and I know this sounds horrible, but it actually works. Maybe something happened in this life because of something that happened in a past life, and then just stop questioning it, right? So now I'm going to move on to, okay, you've accepted your accountability, right? If you can see it, if you can't see it, you've accepted your accountability. Then comes the advantage, right? And this is really where looking at whatever it is that you are still challenged by. Again, it could be childhood abuse. It could be something that happened in a marriage that was bad. It could be a child dying. It could be something horrible happening to you. Maybe a car accident. Maybe, whatever it is. I've heard so many stories and I've heard some crazy stories. But whatever it is, set the commitment, set the intention that when you think about this event or what happened or this time in your life, you are going to seek out the advantage in it. So this is where the concept of non-duality really comes into play in a very, very, very beautiful way. So we are programmed as human beings to view things in a dualistic manner. This is good, this is bad, because this kept us alive. So the lion's bad because it's going to eat me, but the rabbit's good because I can feed myself. Or no rain is bad because I'm going to dehydrate to death, and a river is good because it helps me to hydrate. I can drink, right? So our brains are very, very programmed to throw something in one of two categories, good or bad. But as transurfing presents to us in a number of ways, as well as lots and lots of other modalities, David Hawkins is amazing if you've read some of his work. Really just getting into nothing is good or bad, it is merely your perception of it. So even with abuse, you can invert that, flip it upside down, and figure the advantage there. I would not be able to talk about abuse right now to other people that are struggling with the long-term effects of coming from an abusive household or background or childhood if I had not gone through it myself. So I can be a pillar of strength for others. And in this, just this action, I am dissolving my negative feelings, my negative emotion, my negative charge surrounding that part of my story. So I am owning it, right? I am owning it. It's mine. It's not something that happened to me. It's something that happened for me, okay? And it's something also that happened for other people. So accountability one, advantage one, and then I'm going to talk about telling your story in a way that benefits you and possibly works for others. So this is all, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen movies where like something happens, but then you see it from lots of different perspectives, right? I mean, let me bring one up off the top of my head. Pulp Fiction, that's a good one. You see lots of characters, you see lots of different perspectives. At one point in the movie, you see somebody shoot somebody and you think that they're a villain, but they were actually just protecting themselves, right? There's all sorts of angles and tilts and slants and perspectives and different ways that you could approach anything and see it from another angle. So you can restructure your story in your mind in a way where you can become a superhero. It is possible because I am doing that right now. And honestly, I feel at times now beyond blessed that I've had the experiences that I have had so I can do this. Because if anybody wants to talk about anything with me, and I mean anything, we could talk about childhood abuse, we can talk about abandonment, right? I didn't know my real father. He dipped when I was, an infant. We could talk about teenage years that were hellish and my parents doing all kinds of stuff to me, dropping me off at places and leaving me. And, it really was a very, very dysfunctional family life. We could talk about domestic violence. We could talk about abortion, right? I have lots and lots and lots of things that once in my life while going through, I viewed as a negative event. And now I am blessed that I have the ability to connect with anyone going through pretty much anything. I mean, I haven't lived in a war-torn country and there's certain things that I haven't been through. But man, I suffered an autoimmune disorder for years. I, have had debilitating depression and anxiety for God knows, the majority of my life up until I found transurfing. So I am really taking that stuff and I'm working with it and I'm remolding it in a way where it's not cutting. It doesn't pain me to talk about. It doesn't upset me to talk about. I'm not feeling blame, like I want to blame anyone else. I want to own this now because it's mine. It's my treasure chest of experiences. And all those experiences in that chest are valuable to me, not just the positive ones, but all the what was once perceived negative ones were as well, right? So how can you own your story a little more today? And are you playing the victim with something maybe that's happening right now or something that's happened in your past? Do you need to take accountability? Maybe if it's just accepting that there's some sort of karmic thing going on and you will never possibly know the answer of why that thing happened to you. How can you find the advantage? And how can you start telling your story in another way to yourself, or if you're brave enough, to others to help them through their journey, maybe helping them redefine their story. So this is my video, Owning Your Story. I hope that you guys liked it. Please remember to comment below. My world is taking care of me, and you will enter my daily giveaway for some of my awesome reprogramming stickers. So thanks so much for watching my video, and please let me know your thoughts. Bye.